Hey yo, what's good everybody? Welcome back to another episode of Bros Talk MMA.
Shama.
I'm your host Utica, undeniably the illest cat around, aka Mr. Make This Pick Real Quick.
Meow.
I'm here with my bro host extraordinaire.
You know what it is. It's RayBuck. It's Track with Jordan. It is Ray Mysterio Jr.
Yes indeed, folks. We are here to cover this weekend's fight night card taking place at the good old Apex. It's going to be a 13-fight card headlined by a featherweight bout. It's going to be Josh Emmett going up against Lerone Murphy. We're going to start things off, though, in the women's strawweight division. We got Loma Lookboonmee going up against Estela Nunes. We got Lookboonmee coming in 6-2 in the UFC, 9-3 overall, and 4-1 in their last 5 fights. We got Nunes coming in. They are 0-4 in the UFC, 6-5 with 1 no contest overall, and 1-4 in their last 5 fights. I'm going to be going with Lookboonmee in this one by either decision or KO. They're going to be the younger and smaller of the 2 fighters. Striker primarily, a point fighter at that, kickboxing base, good cardio, and this ultimately should be a standing bout, which I feel like should play into their favor. And you know, they just need to go ahead and keep shit at distance. Definitely, you know, get their kicks going. And if they're able to find a finish, which I believe they could later in the fight, then definitely look for it. But most likely they'll just get this done with a decision. Nunes, who was actually supposed to fight on a card in London against Molly McCann, she had to pull out and is now in this fight. She's going to be the older of the 2 by 3 years, bigger of the 2 in stature, a striker primarily as well, but just not UFC caliber in my opinion. They're going to have to get in close, find something flash, and, you know, get this one done early. Otherwise, like I said, it's going to be a long night for them, and they'll be looking at Lookboonmee getting their hand raised, most likely by a decision.
And I've got to agree with you. Lookboonmee, I think, is a better opponent than Molly McCann is. Because I would have picked Molly McCann over Estela Nunes.
Yes.
So, I mean, and I wouldn't pick Molly McCann over Lookboonmee. So,
Yeah.
I think she's gotten a harder an opponent, and it's going to show. Lookboonmee is going to, I mean, it's still going to be a decision fight. Like, don't get me wrong. We're not going to see any knockouts, any submissions. I don't believe in this particular bout. But that being said, I think Lookboonmee puts a little bit more volume on her. Is able to, you know what I mean, just piece her up at the end of the day.
Mm-hmm.
And Estela Nunes isn't going to be able to help that. So Lookboonmee for the win, but again, go get your beer during this fucking particular bout.
Hey, give me another beer, bitch.
All right, folks, moving on to another women's strawweight bout. We have Vanessa Demopoulos going up against Talita Alencar. We got Demopoulos coming in. They are 5-3 in the UFC, 11-6 overall, and 3-2 in their last 5 fights. We got Alencar coming in. They are 1-1 in the UFC, 5-1 with 1 draw overall, and 3-1 with that 1 draw in their last 5 fights. I'm going to be going with Demopoulos in this one by either decision or KO. They're going to be the older of the 2 by a couple years, slightly bigger, somewhat well-rounded, but they should definitely have the edge in the striking department. They're going to be a dog fighter who, you know, as long as they keep this at distance and avoid the grappling, although I do believe if things were to go that way, they'd be just as game to take it down there. I just believe that if they keep this at distance and just keep it primarily a striking match, that definitely is their best route to victory. You got Alencar coming in there, younger and slightly smaller of the 2. A grappler primarily, no real threat with the hands, but she'll stand there and strike with you. You know, she's not afraid to throw them, but I just feel like she's just not built to really, you know, be out there throwing hands. She's definitely, like I said, going to be the smaller in stature of the 2, so it's going to be hard for her to reach Demopoulos. So her best bet is to, you know, get in close, maybe take a couple just to grab onto Demopoulos, get her to the ground, and then start hunting for finishes right away while they're dry and stuff like that. Definitely, if she finds herself trying to get a takedown, anywhere after the second half of the second round going into the third, it's probably not going to look good for her. If she's able to get Demopoulos down, though, like I said, I'm not too sure that Demopoulos wouldn't be super scrappy down there, super aggressive, and potentially, gain the advantage there. So really, I just feel like Demopoulos has all the routes to victory. She should be able to get this one done. That's who I'm going with. Who you got?
I like your take on Alencar. You know what I mean, on how she gets it done, because that's how she will get it done. She's definitely going to beat Demopoulos. She is going to need to do it on the ground. Because her hands, again, like you said, she will throw them, but they're not worth shit. But she does shoot takedowns, and she shoots them relentlessly. And she is good on the ground. She will start going for a submission right away. She's not going to just sit there and necessarily crotch sniff. But she's got to be able to get in there, and she is significantly smaller of a fighter than Demopoulos is.
Yeah.
And she's gonna have, like you said, she's gonna have to eat a few to get in there. I know she's willing to do that. If she's able to do that, she wins this fight hands down. Otherwise, Vanessa Demopoulos could take this just by staying at range, sticking and moving, and that sort of thing. But Alencar is relentless. She is a dog with a bone. She's getting after it. So I definitely think Alencar takes this one over Vanessa Demopoulos.
Okay. Moving on to a men's bantamweight bout, we got Victor Henry going up against Pedro Falcão. We got Henry coming in. They are 3-2 with 1 no contest in the UFC. 24-7 with that 1 no contest overall, and 2-2 with 1 no contest in their last 5 fights. We got Falcão coming in. They are 0-1 in the UFC, 16-4 overall, and 4-1 in their last 5 fights. I'm going to be going with Henry in this one by either decision or KO. They're going to be the older fighter by 5 years, slightly bigger of the two. Well-rounded, but, tends to lean into their grappling as the fight goes on. I feel like they'll have slightly better of the chin of the two. And really, if they do a good job of just, taking this fight into the later rounds and potentially to decision and just are able to outlast and outdog Falcão, I believe that's really how they get this one done, if not just getting him to the ground and then just kind of maintaining the advantage, if not finding the finish somewhere down there. Falcão is going to be the younger and slightly smaller of the two, well-rounded, but outside of that, I don't have a lot of info on them. They've been chinned before, and I really just feel like this fight, the X factor is going to be the cardio. Which one has the better cardio? Which I believe that's Henry all day. So, that's going to play into the durability factor, which then makes Falcão vulnerable. So I'm gonna be going with Henry in this one.
I agree with the Henry pick. I think Henry just dogs him out. I think Henry's just going to have the cardio. He's going to be on his bike. And he's going to just make it happen against Falcão. I think he has far more fight IQ than Falcão does, just because he's had so much ring time and he's had so much UFC experience. And I think that's what wins in this particular fight. Falcão, not to, put him out necessarily, but I just don't think this is the fight that he's meant to win.
I feel that. All right, moving on to a welterweight bout. We have Rhys McKee going up against Daniel Frunza. We got McKee coming in 0-4 in the UFC, 13-6 with 1 draw overall, and 3-2 in their last 5 fights. We got Frunza coming in, making their UFC debut, 9-2 overall, and are currently riding a 5-fight win streak. I'm going to be going with Frunza in this one by either KO or decision. They're going to be the slightly older of the two by a year. Smaller, but a striker primarily. Not a lot of info outside of that, but I just feel like, just overall, if you've watched the tape on McKee, then really the route to victory is just overwhelm him, pressure him, get him up against the cage, start throwing bombs and or, maybe club and sub, something like that. And yeah, they just tend to start shelling up and then ain't really worth much, after that, unless they're able to weather the storm, then they might be able to, just kind of outdog you at that point. But I just haven't seen that at a UFC level yet for him. He definitely runs the table in the Cage Warriors realm, but for some reason, both times he's been called up to the UFC on separate stints, 2 fights apiece. It hasn't fared well for him. So you got him coming in slightly younger and bigger of the two, a striker primarily as well. He's gonna be, longer. He's gonna have the reach advantage. He's gonna be tall. It's just that, he'll need to find a finish fast, really. Like I said, you might be able to go to decision or go into the late rounds with these dudes on the regional scene. But once it comes to a UFC level, even with a debut guy, I just feel like, this dude isn't being put up against McKee for nothing. This very well could just be a lob fight for Frunza. But, McKee, if you look at his record outside of the UFC, you think like, nah, this dude definitely has something to offer. It just hasn't panned out at that level. So although I'm not like super confident in picking the debutee, I'm still gonna go with Frunza in this one.
I've got to go with Skeletor. I've got to go with Rhys McKee. He is, just significantly longer, significantly taller than Frunza. And I think he, has had some bad beats. Not necessarily bad beats like he should have won that fight. He just ran into some dogs. He ran into some killers. And I think he does have the ability. I don't like to pick an 0-4 fighter, 0-4 in the UFC. Like, there's no way that generally I would do that. But he has a few more routes to victory that I see from him than I see from Frunza. Frunza doesn't have any subs. Frunza is mainly a standing fighter who's gonna try to get it done on the feet. Rhys McKee, he's gonna have to try to get in close to Rhys McKee, and McKee's so much taller, so much longer than him. It's gonna be a tough one for him on that. And then also Rhys also has the ability to grapple him and get him to the ground and sub him, because he has a three or so subs on his record.
Yes, sir.
So that being said, I think I got to go with the dog McKee in this one, and I think he gets it done.
I mean, not the worst pick you could make on this card for sure.
What do you mean by that?
Moving on to
Throwing jabs already? Huh?
Whoa.
Is that what we're doing right now? We're just gonna start throwing jabs like a couple fights in, huh?
is everything okay?
I'm just asking.
You got
like,
something?
Is that what we're doing? Is we just throwing jabs at people? You know what I mean?
I mean, I don't believe I really even said anything.
That was a little bit of a jab, bro. You sat there, you smiled while you were saying it.
I mean, maybe you're just feeling the pressure of these last couple of poor weeks of picking you've been subjecting our whole fucking viewer base to. It's kind of wild. Once again, it's like you're over here worried about yourself, and what I'm saying, or what could be perceived as a jab from me, when in all actuality, bro, you should probably be super humble and, if anything, just apologize to our viewers and maybe even me, because I have to edit these poor picks into our episodes. And, it's almost like I co-sign this shit to a certain extent, which I don't, folks. But, hey, I mean...
I just asked if you throw a jab. But
there we are.
I mean,
hey,
see,
I
knew this episode was going to be bullshit. I knew I didn't want to fucking do it.
I was provoked. I literally had nothing to say except for that wasn't the worst pick you could make on this card. Now, if we're talking about your last couple of weeks, which, you know what? We'll get into that later on. Let's not draw out the show. We're at a good pace right now. Let's not let this one, go off the rails. Deal? Awesome. All right. Moving on to a women's flyweight bout. We got Dione Barbosa going up against Diana Belbiţă. We got Barbosa coming in. They are 1-1 in the UFC, 7-3 overall, and 4-1 in their last 5 fights. We got Belbiţă coming in 2-5 in the UFC, 15-9 overall and 2-3 in their last 5 fights. I'm going to be going with Barbosa in this one by either submission or decision. They're going to be the older of the two by 4 years. A smaller fighter, but a grappler that loved, from what I've seen in these couple of fights here in the UFC, they're not afraid to get scrappy with it. They definitely, you can tell they're working on their hands and want to kind of showcase them fight by fight, to show that there's also a threat there. And yeah, I mean, they could definitely, have the advantage there, but then also you can get Belbiţă to the ground and take her out there, because really, Belbiţă, she's gonna be the younger and bigger of the two, well-rounded, but just not really that threatening anywhere. She's a good competitor, basically. She looks mean, but really when it comes down to it, she's kind of just like, she's not a killer. She's moving up in weight, which she's fought at flyweight before in her career early on, but as of late, she's been at strawweight. So she's moving up in weight, which I'm not a big fan of. I feel like in this one, she's definitely going to want to avoid getting close to Barbosa. So she should just keep this fight at distance and possibly point fight her way to victory, which would be really sad. But I mean, really, that's truly her only route to victory.
I'm in love with Barbosa. That being said, Barbosa is I think good everywhere. More so in the grappling department versus the striking. And Belbiţă is just very subpar in every area. That being said, you just brought up a great point. She's moving up from strawweight to flyweight. I always hate seeing people move up in weight or move down in weight unless you're Poetan.
Shama.
Because it just means you couldn't get it done at your own weight, and so now you want to put on more weight and fight somebody who's naturally at that weight, who's going to put it on you.
Yeah.
And I think that's what Dione Barbosa is going to do to Belbiţă. Belbiţă, this thing is still going to be a decision fight. Not super exciting, but I think Barbosa gets it done.
For sure. All right, give me 1 second, because this shit's, we're on a somewhat of a low battery because we did a whole episode. But all right, folks, moving on to a bantamweight bout. We have Davey Grant going up against Daniel Santos. We got Grant coming in 7-6 in the UFC, 14-7 overall, and 3-2 in their last 5 fights. We got Santos coming in. They are 2-1 in the UFC, 11-2 overall, and 4-1 in their last 5 fights. My pick's going to be with Grant in this one by either decision or KO. They're going to be the older of the two fighters by 9 years, slightly bigger, well-rounded, and definitely got a really good gas tank and are a dog fighter. So really, this is one of those ones where I just feel like, if they're able to get this past the, early, past the first round and early second round, and then start taking this into that later stages of the second round, and then ultimately in the third round and to the cards potentially, I just feel like Grant will outdog and outlast Santos, ultimately, and that's how he'll get the victory. Santos is going to be the younger and slightly smaller of the two. He's a striker with some grappling, definitely dangerous, but I just feel like it's cheetah speed. So, after like the first round and a half, he starts to fade and then just really isn't all that threatening anymore. So, I ultimately think that this is going to come down to cardio. And as long as Davey Grant's able to, weather some early punishment, he should be able to then just lay it on Santos and take this one home and basically just outdog him to get the victory.
I think dangerous Davey Grant is going to take one of the lives of Wily Cat Daniel Santos. Santos is, I think, right in the name, he's wily. He does. I think he leaves it all out there, but I think he takes far too many chances and puts himself in danger. whereas Davey Grant is going to be more of a poised fighter, and is going to, you know what I mean, just fight with a higher fight IQ, fight with more experience, and not put himself in bad situations. Now, Daniel Santos could find, you know what I mean, some kind of flash KO, crazy move, you know what I mean, from a weird angle, because he does have that ability. But like you said, I think he does that early in the first. You know what I mean? I think he does that in the first or early in the second round. Thereafter, you know what I mean, the cheetah, you know what I mean, has gone out of him, and now he's just, you know what I mean, a fat tabby cat of sorts. That being said, Davey Grant's going to be able to last all 15 minutes, all 3 rounds, and you know what I mean. I think point fight him to death. I don't think we see a sub or a KO out of these two, but I do think we see a win out of Davey Grant.
Definitely. All right, folks. Moving on to a flyweight bout, we have Gurule going up against Ode Osbourne. We got Gurule coming in, making their UFC debut. Perfect 10-0 overall.
Perfect.
We got Osbourne coming in 4-6 in the UFC. 12-8 with 1 no contest overall, and 1-4 in their last 5 fights. I'm going to be going with Gurule in this one. I guess at some point during my note-taking, I was conflicted and was thinking about going with Osbourne, but as of this moment, I'm going to go against my past self and, you know, make a executive decision and veto that shit, because I'm going with Gurule ultimately, or Gurule. He's going to be the younger and smaller of the two, a striker. And, you know, not a lot of info outside of just his last performance on the Contender Series, where he actually came in on super short notice and made it happen. I feel like if he's able to just keep this fight standing and, you know, basically, once again, you know, outdog and outlast Ode Osbourne, I think he can get it done here. You know, he also hails from the small town in the middle of Metro Denver, fucking Sheridan. I don't know how that shit works, but he is from the hometown somewhat. You know, I acknowledge Sheridan, but I don't take it seriously. It's just Denver, in my opinion. So he's from Denver, and you know he reps for Sheridan, but ultimately, fucking, you're not too far away from Lincoln High School, my G. You're Denver. So I'm going with Gurule in this one, though, over Osbourne.
First, I'd like to say piss on Sheridan City. Not really a big fan of that particular 4 square blocks of area.
No, that's just Ticket Town. You know, they're just trying to get revenue. You know, that's all those fools have to do.
It's a small town tucked in the middle of the Denver metro area.
Some new LEDs on those Ford Explorers, you know, so you gotta write some tickets for that.
Yeah, piss on them. Anyway, that being said, he is the hometown kid. I've got to go with him over Ode Osbourne. It's just really hard to pick a guy who's been had his ass whipped so much in the UFC. You know what I mean? I did pick one other guy that has had his ass whipped quite a bit, but this particular guy, I just don't know if I have the same faith in him. And Gurule seems to be a monster.
Trains with Roy Vol and his team.
Absolutely.
You know,
you know what I mean? And is just there to KO, sub, and dog just about everybody that he's ever really came against. Well, I guess everybody he's ever came against, because he's 10-0.
Yeah.
So again, how do I pick a fighter who's, you know what I mean, 1-4 in his last 5 against somebody who's got a 10-0 record? I don't. I go with Luis Gurule to get this one done with Ode Osbourne, and
it's kind of a lob fight, you know. It's one of those things where just show and prove. If you are who you say you are, then you should be able to get past this guy if you're UFC caliber. If you're not, then, you know, we might need to, you know, fucking either have you fight down a couple of times and then build you back up, or send you back to the Contender Series.
Yeah. And Ode Osbourne, if you don't get this done in spectacular fashion,
the GFL is starting shortly later this year.
Yeah, absolutely.
Moving on to a middleweight bout, we got Robert Valentin going up against Torres Finney. We got Valentin coming in 0-1 in the UFC. 10-4 with 1 no contest overall, and 3-1 with 1 no contest in their last 5 fights. We got Finney coming in, making their UFC debut. They're a perfect 10-0 overall as well.
Perfection.
My pick's going to be with Finney in this one by KO or decision. They're going to be younger and smaller, somewhat well-rounded. I would say they like, they're in love with knocking fools out, that's for sure. They definitely like to use their small body to, generate power, in the hands and KO their opponents. But they do have some grappling in their back pocket and are better off taking their opponents down and then just kind of dominating down there through ground and pound and shit like that. This dude literally fought and won 3 Contender Series bouts before actually getting into the UFC because Dana just wasn't quite convinced, being that they weren't like the most compelling victories except for like that last one he got. So, he's definitely coming in here as kind of a lob fight as well. He could definitely, if he comes in and at least wins, I think he's all right. It's not now about like how you win on your debut fight. In the Contender Series, it's literally like, bro, show me something, but now that you're here, we understand that you're now at the highest level of competition. So let's just see if you're even capable of winning. You got Valentin coming in, older by 4 years, bigger of the two, in terms of just being longer and taller. He's a grappler, so he's definitely gonna try and get this down to the ground. He'll sit and strike for a little bit, but ultimately, where he gets his money is, down on the ground.
Whoa.
That sounded crazy.
Oh.
He has some somewhat questionable cardio, so it's one of those things where if he's not able to get this done, by grappling early, then it's just going to start, getting dark for him as the fight goes on, and eventually he's just going to start looking really worse for wear. So if he's not able to get this down to the ground and get a submission right away, then this is Torres Finney all day, and that's just what I believe this is like geared for. It's like literally supposed to go that way. Like he might threaten a submission early on. Finney powers through, dogs it through, and then eventually just starts, laying fucking waste to this fool.
And is exactly what's going to happen. Is Torres Finney completely outclasses him in the hands, and I don't think he's truly outclassed by Valentin in the in the grappling and being on the ground. Because I think what it is Finney's record maybe is a little bit of a lie in the sense that you think he's just a stand-up artist and he's not, able to whip ass on the ground. But a lot of his KOs are from ground and pound victories, so he can get it done on the ground. He's just not going to try to sub you. He's just going to try to club you. That being said, I think this is kind of a layup fight for Finney against Valentin, and I think he just gets it done. Because he's just, a ball of muscle.
Yeah.
It's kind of hard to get past that.
Yeah, real shit. All right, folks, moving on to another middleweight bout. We have Gerald Meerschaert going up against Brad Tavares. We got Meerschaert coming in. They're going to be 12-10 in the UFC, 37-18 overall, and 2-3 in their last 5 fights. We got Tavares coming in, 15-10 in the UFC, 20-10 overall, and 1-4 in their last 5 fights. I'm going to be going with Tavares in this one by either decision or KO. They're going to be less rangy, but they are definitely like a point striker fighter overall, with some grappling in their back pocket, but mostly just to try and, find ways to get it back up to the feet. Not a lot of times do you find him, working that game as something where he believes he has the advantage. It's more so just becoming a well-rounded mixed martial artist. He's been in the game and in UFC, for a while now. So, it comes with the territory. Eventually you have to start learning some of this shit. But yeah, so I just believe though, if he can avoid the grappling and keep it standing, he has good cardio and, would just be able to piece Meerschaert up. Meerschaert's going to be longer of the two. A grappler with no real threat with the hands. He'll throw them, but to me, I've never really, been too worried. I mean, he has 29 submissions to 6 knockouts. Like, he's not, scaring anybody with the hands. He definitely does have good cardio, though, which is why he has so many submission victories. I would say Father Time is now starting to play a role in, how he, carries himself later on in the fight. He's definitely starting to fade as as the fight goes on. So he needs to get this shit to the ground ASAP and just hunt for the submission like very, very soon. And that would be his best route. But I'm going with Tavares in this one.
I got to go with Meerschaert. You know what I mean? Generally, I don't like to pick the older fighter, but Meerschaert is just a dog. And he's a killer and he's a finisher, and he wants to go out on the shield or he wants to put somebody on their shield. He doesn't want to take it to the to decision. And I mean, as you see, Tavares, he takes quite a bit more fights to submit or to decision. Now, again, that can be detrimental to Meerschaert because Meerschaert, you know what I mean, obviously is fading to the point that, well, he is going out on the shield. He's not getting it quite to the judges. That being said, I think Gerald Meerschaert is able to get this done early. I hope he gets it done early. If we see Gerald Meerschaert in the 3rd round, you know what I mean, my pick is a little bit of danger. But that being said, I think Gerald Meerschaert gets it done.
All right, folks, moving on to the only heavyweight bout that we have on this card. We got Kennedy Nzechukwu going up against Martin Buday. We got Nzechukwu coming in. They are 8-5 in the UFC, 14-5 overall, and 3-2 in their last 5 fights. We got Buday coming in. They are 5-1 in the UFC, 14-2 overall, and 4-1 in their last 5 fights. I'm going to be going with Nzechukwu in this one by either KO or decision. They're going to be the slightly younger, taller, and longer of the 2 fighters. A striker primarily with a pretty versatile arsenal. This is going to be their 3rd fight in the heavyweight division of UFC. So they're starting to, get the weight up, get the, just their understanding of the division. I feel like they're getting their legs up under them. They just need to keep this at distance and out in open space. Because Buday, they're going to be slightly older by a year and a striker / point fighter that can find finishes usually after just, basically breaking dudes over 3 rounds. The reason why Nzechukwu needs to keep this in the open because Buday is going to be the bigger fighter in that he's just a natural heavyweight. So he's going to definitely be heavier. If he's smart, he's going to use that weight to lean on Nzechukwu, slow him down, and then eventually, start laying leather on him, and showing him the power difference between those light heavyweights and heavyweights. I mean, if Nzechukwu, like I said, is able to just get his kicks going and just keeping Buday on the outside and kind of using that leanness, to be the faster of the 2, whether it's just moving around the cage or throwing strikes, that'll be his best route to victory. So it's like, basically, it's if Nzechukwu can keep this at distance, it's his fight to win. If Buday, is able to make it close and, get a hold of Nzechukwu, then it's pretty much his fight to win. So, given all that, I'm going to go with Nzechukwu ultimately.
If Nzechukwu could just, piece of fat body Buday, we'll be all right. You know what I mean? Stay away from his power. He is a natural heavyweight. He's going to come in at 165, 164 and a half. 265. Sorry about that. 265, 264 and a half. Where Nzechukwu generally comes in these last couple fights, right about 135, 136.
235,
236. We're talking about heavyweight. You guys know what I mean. That being said, I'd be interested to see if he's putting on more weight for this particular bout. And if he does, how does he carry that weight? But I believe if he comes in at the same weight that he's been coming in, which is 260, 236, 235 to 236, then we're going to see a faster Nzechukwu than we're going to see a Martin Buday. You know what I mean? So if he's able to kind of piece him up from the outside, stay away from Buday's power because he does have that, and I think he is more powerful than Nzechukwu is.
Mm-hmm.
But Nzechukwu is going to win him or beat him in the speed department. And stay away from the grappling. Stay away from, you know what I mean? I'm just going to put my, you know what I mean, fat body on yours. And you can't, you know what I mean? You get tired because now you're carrying my weight on yours. If he can stay away from that, he's good to go. If he doesn't, well, it's going to be a long night for you, bro. So, Kennedy, Nzechukwu for the win.
Definitely. All right, folks, moving on to a bantamweight bout. We have Cortavius Romeus going up against Chang Ho Lee. We got Romeus coming in. They're 0-1 in the UFC, 9-3 overall, and 3-2 in their last 5 fights. We got Lee coming in. They're 1-0 in the UFC, 10-1 overall, and 4-1 in their last 5 fights. I'm going to be going with Romeus in this one by either sub or decision. They're going to be slightly older by a year. The smaller of the two fighters. I want to say that grappling's, primarily what they do, but they do have power in their hands. I just don't think that they're as skilled with their hands to really, take full advantage of that power that they got. So, and then when they start losing striking battles and or not able to get that grappling going, that's when their cardio becomes a issue and they begin to start to fade. So what I will say in this fight is I just believe Romeus is capable to get his hands on Lee, get him to the ground and get him out of here pretty quick, or catch him with something, catch him with a flash, fucking bomb, and, possibly get him to the ground club and sub style, or, catch him with something early and just knock him the fuck out. I don't like betting on someone who I'm, saying needs to get shit done early, but I just feel like Romeus is just going to be the better fighter in this bout. I mean, Lee, he's going to be slightly younger and bigger, somewhat well-rounded. I don't have a lot of info on them. I don't believe that they have quite the strength of competition that Romeus has had. And I feel like they just got to keep this standing. Like I said, Romeus, although he's powerful, he's not super skilled with the hands. So I would say have to give the edge to Lee in that regard. But just kind of by default. But to be honest, if he keeps this standing, then most likely he wins by like a decision. I don't see him knocking Romeus out. And, unless he's like super skilled in the grappling department, I just feel like, Romeus should be able to do what he needs to do to get himself back into the win column ultimately.
Let me share my honest opinion with you guys. I do not trust the road to UFC guys.
What do you mean by that?
I really don't trust the road to UFC guys from the Far East.
Bruh.
They haven't seen one do a lot. Just to be honest with you, they get to the UFC caliber fighters and they shit the bed. You know what I mean? I generally try to pick against fighters who shit the bed. So I can't go with the road to UFC fighters who shit the bed. That's why I'm going to go with Cortavius Romeus. Not because I think he's fucking super great. No, he's a decent grappler. You know what I mean? And I just believe that he's going to get this road to UFC back on the road to the PFL or the LFA or wherever he feels he needs to be, but not in the UFC.
You know what? I like that, bro. That was very
Whoa!
I like that. That
Diplomatic.
There you go. That was good.
Very tactful. Yeah.
Yeah.
I did my best because that's a take I've been wanting to have for a while.
Bruh.
But I could not quite piece it together in a formal manner.
Yeah, can't quite put it eloquently.
Eloquently, that's a great word. See?
Yeah. All right. Well, good job.
Yeah, I do what I can.
Moving on to the co-main event of the evening, we have Joe Anderson Brito going up against Pat Sabatini. We got Brito coming in. They are 5-2 in the UFC, 17-4 with 1 draw overall, and 4-1 in their last 5 fights. We got Sabatini coming in. They are 6-2 in the UFC, 19-5 overall, and 3-2 in their last 5 fights. I'm going to be going with Brito in this one by either KO or decision. They're going to be the younger and longer of the two fighters. Well-rounded, likes to strike, but I would say, that he can be dangerous in the grappling department. Decent cardio. So with that being said, I would say that's why he should probably just avoid grappling with Pat Sabatini, even though I think that, he could pose a threat down there with him. Really, if he just keeps this standing and is able to find Sabatini's chin, then that's really, his best route to victory. Sabatini's going to be older by 4 years, less rangy of the two, a grappler, definitely, and just like he's going to have the cardio advantage given if he's able to get his grappling going early. So yeah, if he's able to get this to the ground fast and start hunting for submissions right away, or just, maintaining dominant position, then it's his fight to win. But there is a slight chance Joanderson Brito early on can pose a threat on the ground. But yeah, as this fight goes on, if he partakes in too many grappling exchanges, I feel like he's going to start to fade. So I feel like if he's able to keep this standing at distance and just kind of, hit Sabatini with, an array of strikes, eventually he's going to catch his chin, or, at least just stun him, and then maybe be able to, lock in a guillotine or some type of ninja choke or something like that and get this done. But yeah, I'm going to go with Brito in this one.
I like Brito in this fight as well. I agree with your take on that. That Brito is more likely to win this fight in the first round or the early second round. I'll just call it the second round. Than he is in the third round. When it gets to the third round, now my bet's in a little bit of trouble. Pat Sabatini does have a very big chance to win, because I do believe Brito, in that late third round or mid third round, there's going to be some cardio issues. It's going to be a little bit scary. And that being said, he needs to. I believe he can grapple with Sabatini in those early rounds, but I don't want to see that in the third round. That being said, Brito for the win. I don't really see Sabatini getting him out of there. Fun fact about these two fighters: they've both fought Diego Lopez. Brito has beat him. Sabatini lost to him. So if that says anything about who these two fighters are, then you got to go with Brito.
For sure. Okay, folks. Moving on to
the main event of the evening.
We got a featherweight bout between Josh Emmett going up against Lerone Murphy. We got Emmett coming in 10-4 in the UFC, 19-4 overall, and 3-2 in their last 5 fights. We got Murphy coming in. They are 7-0 with 1 draw in the UFC, 15-0 with that 1 draw overall, and are riding a 19-fight win streak combined between their amateur and pro career. So this dude's never lost.
Killionaire.
But I am going with Emmett in this one by KO or decision. They're going to be the older fighter by 7 years. Smaller of the two. A power striker with some grappling in their back pocket, but, nothing too threatening. Loves to throw bombs. Decent cardio, is going to definitely be able to withstand all 5 rounds. I just think that if he's able to get this close, make it even a little bit messy, he should be able to catch Lerone with something powerful and put him down. And, just kind of maintain dominance throughout the fight, and or, actually put him away for good. Murphy's going to be the younger and taller of the two and have the longer reach advantage. He's a striker, with some takedown defense, but kind of one-dimensional in that striking, at least, as far as I'm concerned. It's nothing like crazy. He does have power, so it's like one of those things where if he's not able to get you out of there fast, then it just turns out being him, fading as the fight goes and becoming more labored with everything that he does. So I would say for him, he needs to keep this at distance and just kind of try and pick his shots and piece Emmett up. Because if he lets him get in too close, Emmett is going to catch him with something. And I just don't know how Murphy's going to fare over time as the rounds go. I've seen him struggle with certain guys that I just feel like he shouldn't have. So, it tells me that, as he rises ranks and the competition gets stiffer, eventually someone's going to figure it out and, get him up out of there. So I think Josh Emmett could potentially be that guy this time around.
Unfortunately, I don't believe that Josh Emmett's going to be the guy this time around. Josh Emmett hasn't fought in 2 years. Lerone Murphy has fought, I believe, as recently as 5 months ago, if I'm correct. And just so he's a little bit more prepared. There's no ring rust on him. Not to say that Josh Emmett comes back terrible when he does take his layoffs, because he has had a few other ones in the past. But I don't like it. And Josh Emmett's quite a bit older than I believe Lerone Murphy is. That being said, Lerone Murphy needs to keep the hell away from Josh Emmett in the phone booth situation, because Josh Emmett is a dog. Josh Emmett is going to throw bombs at you for 5 rounds. That being said, with your height, with your length, you need to be able to keep him at distance. You need to control the fight. And I've got to believe in somebody who's never been beaten in their life. Does Josh Emmett have a lot more cage time in the UFC? Absolutely. Is there going to be a little bit more ring experience? Absolutely. But, I mean, no one's got the blueprint to beat Lerone Murphy yet, and I don't think Josh Emmett is drawing it up as we speak.
Okay. I mean, take that with a grain of salt, folks. If you've been watching the show these past couple of weeks, you would know that bro's kind of on a bad one right now. So I'm hoping he gets back into the win column. But the more he keeps picking fights,
I'm in the win column. What are we talking about?
I don't know.
You act like I lost last card, bro.
You lost to me.
I did lose to you. Okay.
Yeah, again.
Wait a damn minute. Something's wrong here.
I beat you the card before that.
No, you didn't. You didn't beat me this last card, and you didn't beat me on the London card.
Hold up.
No.
Wait a minute.
You might have beat me on the London
Wait
card.
a minute.
I did pretty bad on the fucking London card.
Yeah.
The rock smells trash.
Yeah, you're right.
Yeah, okay.
Right,
So quit trying to streak these wins together.
Got a little too big for my britches.
A little
there,
bit, yeah.
didn't I?
A little bit.
Bitch.
You know what I mean?
Hmm.
Back it down. I know you haven't been here before, or you haven't been here very often. You know what I mean? In the winner circle. Fucking lights are bright. You know what I mean? It's rough.
I mean,
right.
they obviously
Soak it in.
They
Soak
obviously got bright for you last week.
Oh my eyes!
You know, they were so bright that they were able to highlight you as one of the worst pickers on the week, representing our channel. So I basically lose just like you, even though I held up my part of the bargain.
Damn, son.
So thanks for that. Hope you're proud of yourself.
Hey, you know what I mean?
Nah, I mean, nigga.
Again, I was still a winner on the card. You know what I mean? Yes.
Nah, I
Yeah,
mean,
you made a
nigga.
strong comeback. I'll give you that.
Was I
From 2-5 to 7-5? That's strong.
That's strong. But that being said, you know what I mean? Not my best week. You know what I mean? But again, we're talking about being above 50%. You know what I mean? Close to 60. That being said, you know what I mean? We're gonna definitely do better this week. Don't you worry. You know what I mean? Can't keep winners down too long.
I mean,
I'm here to, you know what I mean?
So you've probably been seeing this as it's been playing. We got the graphics up here, results of last card, results of 2025, which I believe Homeboy is no longer the champion. I'm not going to crown myself the champion quite yet because I need to crunch the numbers. But I'm pretty sure y'all are looking at the 2025 champion. But I just want to make sure on that.
Mm-hmm.
You are looking at the all-time picks champion over here. Something that, he needs to hold on to for dear life, but at the rate that he's going, I mean, you might as well just give it to me now, just so that you don't have to, make another trip.
I would have to lose all year like you did last year.
I don't think so. It just takes about 18 to 20 fights to get back to where I need to be. And then
And you think I'm gonna lose 18 to 20 fights in a row without getting my get-backs to you?
let's have another week like last week.
Is this nigga serious?
Let's keep it up. You know, keep up the good work, and yeah, in no time, be good to go. I mean, you have to apologize to our viewers.
You were
but,
up to me.
I mean, you'll be doing me a favor.
You're up on me by 2 fights, bro. You act like you destroyed me. You know what I mean? 2 fights is a big deal. Don't get me wrong. When we're talking about 12 fights, but let's be honest here. Like, you got 2 little fights. Enjoy yourself.
Cope.
Hey, I wasn't the one who picked Julia Pilastri or Gabriel Miranda.
Julia Perlastri won that fight. You know what I mean? They just happened to give it to what's her name?
Don't worry about it, bro.
Fucking Goonie. Fucking because she's Mexican, bro. So,
Oh, come on, bro.
It was a biased fucking judging.
Give me
It
a
was fucking biased
break.
judging, bro.
You want to get into some parlays?
Absolutely, I can give you my quick parlays. I can't let my people go without that. That being said, my parlays are going to start off with Barbosa, followed by Gurule, Finney, then Mearshart, and we're gonna finish that up with a Brito.
For sure.
For a 5-pick parlay.
Okay.
You know what I mean? Just a quick 5.
I got you. I'm going to do what has been coined notoriously by my bro here as the ladies' night parlay. It's going to be a 3-pick parlay consisting of Lookboonmee, Demopoulos, and Barbosa. Now, if you want to get spicy with it, you can let the fellas join the party as well. You can go ahead and add a spicy Finney to that lineup. If you want to get extra spicy, you can add an extra spicy Brad Tavares to that lineup. And if you're looking to shit your pants on the night,
no one wants to shit their pants on the night, bro. Like, can't you come up with something better than shit?
You're trying to tell me that there's not an amount of money that you could look at being presented to you to take home that would excite you so much that you just, you shit your pants.
I don't know.
You wouldn't, and okay, let's say, okay, you're saying no, that's not cool. Let's say though, let's just real quick, level with me real quick.
Really, nigga?
Are you trying to tell me that even in the midst of winning, a lot of money, life-changing money, would the parade be ruined by shitting your pants?
Yeah, it would be. Yeah, I would have shit in my pants.
And that would bring you down even after coming up, financially.
That'd be a problem for me. Yeah. Shitting my pants, yeah, it would be a problem.
That's why we're 2 different people, bro.
So feel free to. I hope you fucking shit your pants on this parlay.
Hey, so with that being said, if you're trying to shit your pants like me, then you're going to want to go ahead and add Davey Grant to that motherfucking lineup. Making for a 6-pick lineup, but like I said, if you want to just go with the 3-pick ladies night parlay, that's cool too. Well, folks, with all that being said, make sure that you go check out the UFC Predictions Tracker, see how we stack up against the rest of the field in the picks and predictions community. Make sure that you like, comment, share, and subscribe to this channel. You can follow us at Bros Talk MMA on IG or TikTok at Bros Talk MMA. You can follow myself on either of those platforms at UTICA_SME. And my brother, you can follow him, but he has a different set of criteria for following him.
You can follow me at r1.mason on IG. Only if you have an OnlyPants or a corn hub.
This has been another episode of Bros Talk MMA. I'm your host, Utica, undeniably the illest cat around, a.k.a. Mr. Make This Pick Real Quick, a.k.a. Mr. Don't Worry About What's Going On Up Here, Just Mind Your Business.
Mind your business, that's all.
It's RayBuck. It's Michael Jordan. It is Ray Nasterio Jr. It is Don't Call It a Comeback. I've been here a year.
Bruh.
It's your guy. You know who it is.
Well, folks, with all that being said, we wish y'all nothing but the best. Happy betting. Good luck this weekend. And until the next time, we out.